Hello, my name is Rakesh Soni. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LoginRadius. Today, I'm going to interview our first full-time hire in Canada, Karl Wittig. We're going to learn about his personal story and his journey from a junior engineer to head of our customer success at LoginRadius. Welcome to the show, Karl.
Hi, Soni. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, Karl, if I remember correctly, you joined us when we were in a tiny room with a couple of desks. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we had maybe two small rooms and in a beer room for our meetings.
Yeah. And that was in Edmonton.
Yes, that's correct. Out of the incubator there.
Awesome. So how did you end up at LoginRadius? What's your story maybe before LoginRadius?
Yeah, so post high school, I took the opportunity to do some traveling. So I spent some time abroad, and when I came back to Canada, along with one of my good friends there, we decided to go and spend some time in Asia. So we moved to China, teaching English there. So what we planned as a kind of a 1-year kind of stopover turned into about a 7-year experience over there. So had a lot of opportunity over there to experience the culture. Finally decided to come back to Canada. So came back to Canada and took up my education there. So I went to NAIT with the computer technologist course. So got a great introduction into computer science and technology in general. Did a co-op term, and then I joined LoginRadius.
And then with your time you spent in China, you must have got like pretty solid international exposure. And I know you also spent good time in Europe. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's great to go to different countries and kind of experience those different cultures. Had great opportunities with LoginRadius to travel both in Europe and to our India office. So that's been kind of a mainstay for myself personally, is those opportunities to see and experience different cultures around the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then, Karl, how did you end up into technology and computer science?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in computers. I've always kind of had that lean to technology. So when I, after taking some time away from school and being able to kind of explore what I wanted to actually do with my career, technology was a great fit. And the course at NAIT specifically gave a pretty broad understanding of technology, from hardware systems to software and web and technology around APIs and those systems. So it was a great opportunity, that course, to get me into that space, which I was interested in. So yeah.
Wow. And I'm curious, like, how did you come across LoginRadius? Do you remember?
I'm probably going to say that I found you guys on a job board that the NAIT provides for their alumni, as well as co-op students. So I think I feel like that was from there. It could have been a random Indeed.com or something like that too that I found you guys at. But the tech community in Edmonton isn't that big. So either you go into hardware-based technology, you go into like IT, office management, or you go into the small kind of a tech scene that they have in Edmonton. It's growing, but it's still, there's one or two bigger companies, and then the incubators. So I likely one of those channels is how I found you guys.
And for audience, the journey started at Edmonton, but right now both of us are in Vancouver. So we'll talk about that in 2 minutes. And Karl, I remember, I think I and Deepak interviewed you. And one interesting story I remember is that I think Deepak asked you to get on some mock call or customer call too, right, during the interview process. And after your interview done, one thing Deepak absolutely loved about is like, this guy having such a good confidence and, handle the customer call such a great way. that he just absolutely loved it. And rest, he said, you know what, is smart guy, so he can easily develop the skills. And I think our judgment was so right, Karl.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I have one of the anecdotes I have from that interview, which I kind of still remember to this day, is a line of questioning where essentially you're asking me to do something that you know very well is impossible, but to see how I approach that question, because it's not something who's so it was not a it was around security around passwords for in a specific situation. So asking me that question, letting and seeing the way I answer that question, knowing full well that whatever I'm saying to accomplish that is not possible, but seeing how you approach those problems is something that I take with my interviews now, and something that I actually use. I actually use that same question in a lot of my interviews to kind of judge how people react to it. So yeah.
Yeah, big fan of problem solvers, man.
Yeah.
And then Karl, especially when tech startups, right? Especially when there's only like a founders or a couple of guys working, people are always hesitate to join the startups.
Yeah.
What was your drive? Like, why did you join LoginRadius, knowing that there are only like a couple of guys and with very little, anything? It was so small those days, right?
I mean, size doesn't really matter that much. So from my perspective, right? Like, so you can go into a big organization and you're going to be stagnant. You're going to sit there and you're going to do one thing. It's going to take you 10 years to grow to a senior level. Whereas with a small startup, smaller organizations, you get a chance to that's saying wear many hats, right? But you also get a chance to be forced to learn and to experience different things rapidly. So you don't really have time to just sit back and wait on the knowledge to accrue. You're actively seeking that knowledge and building your acumen across various systems and products and technologies, which, I mean, with large organizations, you're probably stuck with one technology, one way of doing it, and it's going to stay that way for 10 or 15 years until they have to change. Whereas with a smaller technology, we have a chance to pivot, we have a chance to change technologies, we have a chance to try new things, which I think was really appealing to me.
Awesome. And then you started the journey with LoginRadius. But those days, what was your thought about the vision we had for the company? Was it interesting enough for you, or what was the take?
Yeah, I mean, I would never join an organization where, I mean, at least the product didn't make sense to me. So, like from the start, even, I mean, back then we were essentially focusing on somewhat of a different product, social login, and that was our main focus. But even that product, which we still use and leverage today with our greater offering, but that product specifically makes sense, right? And what we were doing with it and the problem we were solving made sense. So I think that's important to joining a company, is that what you're getting into makes sense to you, and it's not just something that somebody might use, but there should be a value prop behind it.
Yeah. And so Karl, tell me a little bit about your journey, how you developed yourself and your career since you joined at just, I think it was the first full-time job you had as a technologist, right?
I had some experience from my co-op. So I did a co-op in another local tech company from a database database angle. So it was heavily focused on data management and interacting with those databases and managing those systems. So when I came to LoginRadius, it was kind of a very big pivot from what I was used to. So I had web experience, I had the API structures, and I had that experience, but to use it in the real world and to understand how customers are using it. So that's kind of where day one that learning began. So getting exposure, like within 1 year, having exposure to essentially every major web programming language that out there. Just through kind of organic interactions with our customers or through product implementations and things like that, you can quickly accrue a lot of experience because, I mean, you have a chance to talk with people who are experts and work with people who are experts in each one of those technologies. So So you accrue that knowledge pretty quickly in regards to that. And then with a small team like we had back then, you have essentially the CTO and our current chief product, and all those things all kind of working directly with you. So getting a chance to build those relationships with those other early team members is important to like maintaining that over time and having that relationship, and then being able to go to them for help and assistance when maybe there's something that you're struggling with. You have people who are knowledgeable in that space, and vice versa. Once you accrue knowledge and you're able to start sharing that with the other team members, because now you have that knowledge and you have that support with a smaller team where everybody's kind of there interacting and you're all working together to drive it forward. Right.
And there's some kind of nature for a platform like which focuses on developers, and it's API driven. So, our platform, our team need to know so many things, whether it's Android and iOS and PHP and Java and so on, right? So that gives a good exposure to everybody in the team.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things, working parts that go on behind the scenes, or that the product leverages. Like you mentioned, all the developer tools that we provide to our customers means we need to be experts in all those technologies, where there's a high degree of security that goes into a CIAM platform. So getting exposure to how compliances work, how we're actually securing that data, and how we're ensuring that our customers are safe, and that we don't have any possible ways that organizations can get access to that data is important. And so those things are stuff that you're not going to get exposure to in most organizations, right? You're going to have a dedicated InfoSec team apart from everything else. And when we were smaller, we had that experience, and then getting to work with people and communicate that experience and communicate that knowledge to different customers, so that they can also understand how implementing this feature with LoginRadius is going to better secure your user journeys or do these various actions is important, and is knowledge that, invaluable to have at any organization.
Right. And then Karl, you eventually start, taking more and more responsibility. And I remember you were manager role, then director role, and now AVP role. So how did LoginRadius help you kind of develop your leadership skills?
Yeah, well, definitely. Beyond like the kind of general like sponsoring training programs and guiding and encouragement from Deepak and yourself, Sony, and how to manage the organization, and from experience working closely. I worked my first couple of years directly reporting to Deepak, who's the CTO, who has a lot of that experience. So being in such a close work relationship with him allows me to absorb a lot of his knowledge and his actions and his behaviors when he's dealing with direct reports and employees and stuff like that. So I think that trust that you guys showed in me and involving me in those processes helped me to develop those skills. Because no matter what, like, you can't just go to a training course and then be able to do everything, right? Like giving me the chance to learn that organically, and then ramping up various responsibilities over time. Generally by the time we officially moved my role to the position that we're looking at, you're already accomplishing about 70% of the tasks in that role anyways. So you kind of get organically introduced and take on more responsibility. And then you get that every new responsibility is a new opportunity to learn, right? So whether it's with managing people or managing new technologies or whatever it's managing, you're getting an opportunity to learn more about that, because no matter how much book learning you do, how much courses and whatnot, physical and real world experience is always superior.
Oh, Karl, you become our key kind of partner in the business, and you always exceeded our expectations. So, it's always kind of fun to give more responsibilities if you take more, right? And then, Karl, I know the journey has been 6-7 years together. And I know a lot of things, in personal life. You were like a bachelor to now you have a family. So Can you a little bit tell about
Yeah,
like
so,
how you try to support, as a partner in personal life?
yeah, so definitely. I mean, for the past, like you said, 7 years, LoginRadius has been that stable portion of my life, right? During my travels abroad, when I was in China, I met my wife. So when we came back, we moved back to Canada together. So when I joined LoginRadius, I was already married, but I joined in that fresh position and was able to start a family. So had my son there in 2015. So that LoginRadius supported me through that. Great support in ensuring that, I mean, I had the necessary time and resources to raise my family, and then I mean, always being flexible. So that's one of the great things about working with good leaders is being flexible when flexibility needs to arise. So I mean, 9 to 5 is great, and everybody, I mean, likes to have some formality, but some days you may not be done right at 5, or you may need to leave early some days. So having some flexibility and having trust in your employees and in people that you're working with is important, and it kind of leads to a great partnership within your teams.
Awesome. And I also know wife is happy being in Vancouver.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely. The move from Edmonton to Vancouver wasn't too much of a decision for us. So she was ready to move when the opportunity arose. So it's a great opportunity to come down to some milder weather. It's a little bit more of a diverse community. Nature and stuff is definitely accessible. So yeah, it was a nice transition to Vancouver.
yeah, happy wife is all we need, man. That's good. Awesome, Karl. Anything else you want to speak about the company or any message to any of our team members?
I mean, the one message that I always like to share with our team members, and I like to make sure my team sets aside time, is learning is important. So make sure that you're always taking the time to learn and to develop your skills and to take those opportunities as they arise, right? To look at the products or the technologies that you're working with, then try to learn more and more about those and apply that knowledge in your day-to-day work. So yeah, I mean, set aside that time, take a couple hours a week and spend it on learning new things. That's going to improve yourself and improve everyone.
Awesome. All right. Very inspiring, great story, Karl. And thanks for being our key partner. It has been an amazing journey, and I'm very sure many more years to come together as partners. So yeah, thanks for joining me in the show.
Great. Thanks for having me, and thanks for trusting in me and giving me these opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you, Karl.